The Danish Deception, part 19. And I don't want to waste y'all's time, so this part's actually going to cover between January 2025 and July of 2025. Okay, so I call my ex and I'm just so confused. Why did you commit to paying $10,000 for this wedding? I just do not understand. And he said, well, I really just wanted to help your parents out. And now I understand narcissists have this need and desire to be admired. And that's where it came from. It wasn't just him wanting to be a good person. But I was super frustrated and we talked about it, went back and forth. I'm like, we don't have to do this. Like, my parents are very generous. I know they'd be more than happy to pay for the wedding. But he said, no, let's just give them something. Let's give them 10,000. I was like, I just feel like we don't need to do that. He's like, no, let's do it. So I call my mom and my dad and I said, hey, are you guys comfortable with us paying 10,000? And they're like, absolutely, that's fine. We'll cover the rest. And they loved my ex and they were excited for this wedding. And side note, I had communicated to my parents about the business account. So I told them, we're gonna end up paying you in July, if that's okay with you, just because we had a bunch of expenses. They didn't know about the payments of crypto and everything, but I just said, hey, we're gonna pay you in July. I hope you're okay with that. And they were more than fine with that. And so we put that to rest. I need you guys to remember that 10,000 that was promised to my parents. There's a reason why I'm bringing it up. It's gonna come back in the end. So now it's January of 2025. We are in this year, you guys. I promise this is coming to a close tomorrow, so get ready. But it's January 2025. We get the news that his green card has been approved. And we're so excited. And I remember just being over the moon. And one of the biggest reasons why we were excited is because our very, very best friends were getting married in March in Spain. So we were so hyped and excited to go celebrate them. And at first we didn't even know if we could go to the wedding. And so when the petition got approved, it meant that he can travel out of the States. And so we're getting super excited. We weren't just going to Spain. We were also going to go to see his family in Denmark because his little nephew was getting baptized. And then we were also going to go to Portugal for 2 days to look at wedding venues. So this was a very, very exciting trip for us. And before you guys come for me, we were in what I thought was a great financial position and we were up to date on our payments with crypto. So it was okay for us to go on these trips. So we have such an amazing time at the wedding. It was a very small, intimate wedding. There's 30 people there. It was perfect. And afterwards we went and saw his family, went to his nephew's baptism, spent a lot of time with his extended family too. That was wonderful. And then we went to Portugal to look at venues. And I remember I set up a couple tours and I made sure to be very mindful of cost because obviously I wanted us to be smart and I didn't want us to go over budget. And I remember having a conversation with him, telling him that, listen, I do not want this wedding if it's gonna jeopardize your sobriety. So if we need to wait a year, if we wanna renew our vows at year 5, we can do that. I do not want this wedding to put any pressure on you. And he said, the business account's gonna open up this summer. We're gonna be okay, I promise. I don't want you to stress about that. And so I believed him and I trusted him. So we look at a couple different venues and we find one that we really like and it's very reasonably priced. The deposit was only 1,500 euros. And he said that his mom was gonna actually pay for it. And I said, hey, that's fine. That works perfectly for me. So we get home and he said, I just feel like it doesn't make sense for me to have $60,000 to $70,000 worth of watches. So I think I'm gonna sell my watches. And I asked him, are you 100% sure? He said, yes, it's unnecessary, especially with us trying to accomplish all of these financial goals and just having these expensive watches just does not make sense. And so I 100% supported him. And so he packed up the watches in the boxes and then he left the house and came back and was like, okay, I just took him to a showroom. I'm waiting for them to sell. Obviously I don't have the money yet, but hopefully they'll sell within the next, a couple weeks to a month. And I said, okay, that sounds good. So that was April of 2025. And in May of 2025, we decided that we wanted to build up his credit score so that we could maybe buy a house within the next couple of years. And his credit was basically zero because he had just moved to the States. And so I had a credit card that we had just paid off. It had a zero balance. And so I was like, okay, let's add you on this card. And so we added him and he had no plans to even really use this card. It was just, for me to use for groceries. We were just really trying to build up his credit. And so I looked at the balance one day and it was super high and I was so confused. And I started going through the details and I saw that there was a cash advance for $7,000. And I was like, what is going on? mind you, I'm not home. I had just finished a showing, so I'm in my car about to head home, and I call him and I'm like, what is this cash advance? And I go, you better tell me the truth immediately. I do not want any bullshit. And he comes out and he tells me, I relapsed again. I've been gambling again. And that was the very first time that I just came out and asked him, and he said yes. And keep in mind, his last relapse was October. This was now June. And so obviously I'm hurt, I'm sad, but I'm also like so grateful that he told me the truth. I remember the first thing that came out of my mouth was, thank you so much for telling me the truth, because I just was grateful that he didn't automatically lie about it. So I come home, I'm obviously very upset, but I'm trying to meet him in a peaceful way because he is trying to be honest with me. So I walk into the house and I'm like, tell me everything. And he said, okay, well, I took a salary advance in May and I tried to recoup it. And I actually ended up selling the Rolexes and taking that money and gambling it away. And so I took the money from the cash advance to try to win it back, and I haven't spent it yet. I still have some of that, and you guys, this was such a weird experience because I was so angry and hurt that I was still going through this, but this was the first time that he was being open and honest with me, quote unquote. So I was grateful for that. So I told him, I'm like, okay, well, I just have to ask you a question. Is this because the business account doesn't exist? Like, I just don't understand why you would relapse when this money's coming. He goes, babe, like, you just don't understand gambling. Like, it just, sometimes it happens and there's no rhyme or reason. And so I said, okay, I just need to confirm with you again, is this business account exist? He said, 100% it exists. And I'm sorry, I promise you, like, if this feels different, like just being able to like come forward to you, be honest with you. I feel like I really am changing and I want to be better, and this money is going to hit. We're going to have our dream wedding and everything's going to be okay. And so I believe him and I trust him. And then fast forward to July, I ended up having a bachelorette party for one of my good friends, Tracy. And while I'm at the bachelorette party, I knew the date of the hearing with the Danish IRS for his business account to open up. I knew that was going to be while I was on the bachelorette in the middle of July. And so I remember I was on the bachelorette and I woke up early on the second day I was there because I knew that was the day of the hearing. And I get a text from him and he says, call me when you can. And we will pick up the rest in part 20. And tomorrow is the grand finale. And I hope y'all are ready because it's about to get absolutely insane. The Danish Deception, part 20. So after today, all the parts will be fully completed, and I need y'all to just bear with me. This was a very traumatic and emotional experience for everyone that was involved, and so you're gonna see tears, and I'm gonna try to keep my composure as much as possible. So I'm on this bachelorette trip in the Bahamas, and the second day I'm there, I know that's the date of the hearing with the Danish IRS about the business account. And I'm very, very nervous. Like, obviously I had money in my bank account, but this business account was supposed to be what was gonna go towards crypto and paying for the wedding. And so I just wanted everything to happen the way it was supposed to happen. So I wake up that morning, he tells me, call me when you can. I pick up the phone, I call him, I step outside, and he actually has good news. And the good news is that the business account doesn't have 200,000, it actually has 300,000. And he hadn't been able to log into it for 18 months. And so he was very surprised that the account actually had more money than he thought. So I was so over the moon excited. I told him, I said, thank you so much for, making smart choices and, helping us build this foundation for us to start our lives together in Dallas. And he had told me he was on the phone with the bank for like 45 minutes, ironing out the plans. They closed down the business account and they were gonna just transfer him the amount of money that was owed to him. And so obviously I don't take his word for shit at this point. So I asked him, I'm like, can you send me a screenshot of the phone call? Like, I want to see the phone record. And so he sends me a screenshot and it shows that he was on the phone for 45 minutes. I type in the number in the screenshot that he sent me, and I put it into ChatGPT, and it said it was linked to his bank in Denmark. So I was like, okay, this is real. Why would you spend 45 minutes on the phone with the bank if this wasn't real? So at this point, I'm like, okay, finally there's truth to something he's saying. And I felt so much relief. So after the Bahamas, my ex sends a text to my parents, and I'm in the group chat too, and he's saying, hey, I'll be able to send you the money by the end of this month. Can you please send me your banking information? And my mom says, of course, here it is, gives her bank information. Now we're at the end of July, and I asked him, hey, has the money hit? Has the money hit? Still hadn't hit. So what he said was, what I'll do is I'll send your parents the money on August 1st after I get paid from my job. But regardless, like that money is gonna hit at some point in August. And I said, okay, that's perfect. So beginning of August comes around and he tells me, hey, I just sent the money to your mom. And I said, okay, perfect. Can you please show me the screenshot? And he said, yes. And he showed me the screenshot and it said that the payment was scheduled for August 9th. So August 7th and 8th comes around. I told my mom, hey, you're gonna receive the money by August 9th. And she said, okay, sounds good. So August 9th comes around and I asked her, hey, have you received it? And she said, no, I still have not received it. And so I was like, okay, that's weird. A couple of days go by and I'm like, have you received it yet? She said, I still have not received it. So now it's like August 12th and I'm on FaceTime with my mom just chit-chatting. And then I ask her, I go, hey, have you received the transfer from my ex? And she goes, no, I still haven't received it. And I'm on the couch with my ex and I look at him, I go, that's so weird. My mom still hasn't received the transfer. And he goes, that is weird. I go, can you pull up the screenshot again? He shows me the screenshot again. And it says that the payment is now scheduled for August 14th. And I'm a little confused because why is it scheduled for August 14th now? It was August 9th before and that doesn't make sense. So I asked him, I'm like, that's weird. He goes, that is weird. I don't know what's going on. And so regardless, at this point, it was like August 12th. So I was like, okay, we'll just wait and make sure she gets it by August 14th. So August 14th comes around. I call my mom, hey, did you receive the transfer? She still hasn't received the transfer. And I'm just like, what is going on? This is so weird and bizarre. But I'm not super concerned at this point. I just think that there's something weird going on. So August 15th comes around and he tells me that he doesn't know what's going on, but what he's gonna do is cancel the transaction and then send the 10K to me. And then I will then send the 10K to my mom. And I said, okay, perfect, that sounds good. So that Saturday, I went wedding dress shopping and my very best friend, Rebecca, was in town visiting and she was with her 3.5-year-old daughter, who's the sweetest. I've known her since she was a little newborn baby. She's so sweet. And this is the first time that my best friend Rebecca is coming to visit me in Dallas with her daughter. And so I was just so excited for them to be here and go wedding dress shopping with them. So we go wedding dress shopping on a Saturday and my ex had told me that his mom wanted to pay for the wedding dress. And I was like, are you sure? He said, absolutely. Her birthday was actually the day before I went to go wedding dress shopping. And so he's like, I don't want to call her like on her birthday to ask her for money for your wedding dress, even though she's the one that brought this up and said she wants to pay for it. And I said, it's okay. I'll just pay for the dress. And then whenever your mom sends you the money, you can just send it to me. And then, obviously I want to call her and tell her thank you. Cause I was surprised. I did not expect her to even offer to pay for it. So I was flattered. I thought it was so sweet. So I go pick out the wedding dress and I'm just so happy. I find the dress that I love. I put in the deposit for the dress. So Sunday comes around and my ex says that the $10,000 for my mom is going to hit his account on that Monday. And I said, okay, sounds good. I am starting to feel some red flags, but you know, I'm just like, let's wait till Monday and let's see how this plays out. So we go to church that morning on Sunday morning and we get back. And this is so interesting that I always have to mention this. After church, my ex comes to me and he tells me, you know, I really want to learn more about the Word of God. And I'm a Christian and I've always been a Christian. And he always told me, listen, like, despite my beliefs, I always will support you and your faith. And our kids will be brought up as Christians. We'll go to church. I'll always go to church with you. But this was the first time that he told me that he wanted to learn more about the Word of God. And I remember just being so excited. I was like, that's perfect. We're going to start doing Bible study like once a week together. And I was really, really excited for it. That day goes by and the next morning it's Monday. Keep in mind, my best friend and her daughter are still visiting me. So the next morning, my best friend, Rebecca, she is at home because she has some work calls. And so we take her daughter to the park with Smokey and we're just walking around. And I asked him, like, has the $10,000 for my mom hit your account? And he said, no, it hasn't. And I told him, I go, listen, I'm feeling very triggered. I feel like you're lying to me. It should have hit your personal account by this point and it hasn't. And I'm feeling extremely, extremely triggered. And he said, well, I don't know what's going on. I promise, like, the money's there. It's going to be fine. And I was like, well, I don't know. I just feel like you're lying to me. So if there's anything that you want to come clean about, now's the time, just do it. And he said, what's the point of talking to you if you're just going to think I'm lying? I go, well, why do you think I always think you're lying? Because you lie all the time. And he says, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't walk together. I go, okay, maybe we shouldn't. So he walks back to the car and I walk my friend's daughter with my dog, and I just like walk away, and we walk for a while, and then we go back to the car, and he's in the car talking to his mom. And as soon as I get in the car, he gets off the phone with his mom. And I was fully planning on telling her thank you for the wedding dress. And I thought it was weird that he hung up really quickly. And so that's another red flag. So we get home and obviously we're fighting. I feel like he's lying to me. He's upset that I'm not believing him. And he ends up leaving the house because he's like, I'm gonna go to Costco. So while he's in Costco, obviously I'm just spiraling. And this is the moment where it hits me. I'm like, what if everything's a lie? And I don't know why, like, my subconscious has been thinking this all along, but this is the first time I fully am asking myself this question. And so I'm laying in my bed and I start playing with the app Revolut, and I start looking at it. And that's the app that he sent the money to my mom. And obviously he sent me screenshots. I sent the screenshot to my mom to verify it's gonna be hitting on August 14th. And so I start playing around with the app, and I just, I wanted to see what it would be like if I wanted to send a big payment. And the way Revolut works is you have to load the money into Revolut before you can send it to anyone. So I'm just playing around with it, and I do a test transaction, and I'm trying to send $10,000 even though I don't have 10K in Revolut to send. So I click schedule payment and I put just whatever date, and I see the next page, which is the review page. And that's when I realized that that was the same screen that he showed me and that I sent to my mom, saying that he sent the payment. And what he did was he cropped out the schedule payment button so it looked like he had sent the money, but he really did not. So at this point, my entire body is shaking, and he gets back from Costco and I can't say anything because my best friend and her daughter are staying with us. So I'm trying to keep it chill, and keep in mind, this friend does not know anything that's going on. So after we unload the groceries, he's like, I'm gonna go upstairs and change and get ready for the gym. So I follow him upstairs and I ask him, I said, I'm gonna ask you one question. Did you send that money to my mom? And he said, of course I did. I go, I'm gonna ask you again. Did you send that money to my mom? And he said, yes. And I pull up the screenshot that he sent me, and then I go back to Revolut and I show him the exact same screenshot where he cropped the schedule payment button on the review page. And he said, our screens are different because I'm using a version from Denmark and you're using a version from the US. I go, you're using your US phone. So at this point, his lies are just getting bad. I'm like, you're lying about everything. I go, let's have a chat and let's let all of this come to light and be done with it. And he said, I don't have time for this, and I don't want to listen to this. And then he storms out of the house. And I will continue on in part 21. The Danish deception, part 21. So a lot of the things that transpired over the next couple of days happened over text. So I have my old phone. I'll be reading a lot of the messages because it's hard to really convey everything just based on memory. So I send him a screenshot of the test transaction that I did, and then the screenshot that he sent me for my mom. And I literally put them right next to each other. And I said, here's a side-by-side comparison for your reference. You've been caught red-handed, but if you want to keep lying, by all means, do your thing. And you can clearly see that you dragged it down to remove the schedule payment button. And then I had the test transaction with the schedule payment button circled. He says, I am telling you, Onyeka, I made the transfer to the account she gave me. I would have come clean right now if I had it. At this point, I think we should call off the weddings. We are not working as a team, and I don't want to keep fighting over this. Your mom will get her 10K as soon as I get it back. No, let me rephrase that. We are calling it off. I'm doing my best for everyone. Now it's time to focus on my own mental health. I will stay at a hotel for a few nights. This is all too much for me. Once I get the money, we can discuss if there's a future, but the weddings are off. So at that point, I'm just, what is happening? This is just, I'm so confused. Obviously, I had just bought my wedding dress and I was planning this wedding But the weddings weren't even like on my mind. I just knew that he was struggling with something really, really big, and I wanted to know what it was. And the weddings, at this point I was like, let's cancel the weddings. I don't even care. I was more focused about his well-being and making sure he was gonna be okay. So I do another test transaction, but this time I actually loaded money into Revolut and then I sent it to myself. And so I said, FYI, this is what it looks like when you actually make a transfer in Revolut. And I did like a couple $100s, just a small amount. And I said, the lies need to stop. Aren't you tired and exhausted? Do you think I want that for you? He goes, don't worry about me. I'll go to Denmark either tonight or tomorrow. I have enough miles to book it. Then we'll figure out the business account and you will be made whole. After that, we can figure out the next steps. So to answer your question, yes, I'm tired, but I'm more than tired. I am done. So I sent him this message. You think you leaving is what I want? We don't need space. We need a relationship that's open and honest. You say you want to focus on your mental health. Keeping up with your lies and taking on the stress is destroying your mental health. You say you want to work as a team. How can we if you can't be honest with me? I'm here for the good, the bad, the ugly, but we can't work through any of this until you can give me the honest truth. So he gets back from the gym and he walks in the house. He walks past me, he walks past my best friend, goes up to the room. I follow him into the room and I go, hey, can we talk about this? He said, what is there to talk about? I told you I'm done. And I go, what does that mean? He says, I want a divorce. And at this point, I'm just stunned because never once has he mentioned leaving me or divorce or anything. So I'm shook at this point. And then he proceeds to tell me, he said, you prioritize your friends and family above me in our relationship. I've never felt like this is my home. I'm a guest in this home. My stuff is in the guest closet. And I'm like, your stuff wouldn't fit in the master closet. Like, it's fine. Like, I'm just sitting here just so confused. And he said, you only love me when there's money in my account, which is crazy because there was tons of times where there wasn't money in his account. And I'm just still trying to talk to him. So I'm like, I love you. You're the love of my life. He goes, you were the love of my life. And I feel so hurt, but I'm also like, this can't be him talking. This has to be the disease. This has to be the addiction that's talking. And so I'm still trying to communicate to him. And he's like, you know what? Don't worry. I'm going to fly back to Denmark. I'm going to get the money from the business account, make sure you're whole. And I also have received an offer to be a CEO of a company in Denmark making $1 million. And so now I'm just like, oh my gosh, he's for sure spiraling. Like, this is 100% the addiction. And it's insane because at this point I should have just been like, okay, go bye and be done with him. But I'm very much still fighting for the relationship because I don't think that there's anything crazy big that we can't navigate and come through together. So we're not making any progress in the conversation. So I leave. I go to my friend Rebecca. I said, let's go for a drive. So we take her daughter. We go to the lake and I tell her everything. And I just break down and she's in shock because she had no idea that I was dealing with this along with most people. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't want him to leave me. And at this point, it's crazy because I had definitely thought to myself, like, what life would be like without him and almost was like mentally preparing myself for it. But I always thought it was gonna be on my terms. But the fact that he was leaving me just like put me in like this like fight or flight, and I just wanted to fight for him. So while we're at the lake, he sends me a message. He says, are you all gone? If yes, do I have enough time to pack my suitcase? And I go, we drove to the lake. And I said, I love you. We're gonna figure this out. Let's take some space, but flying to Denmark is not the answer. And he says, I have made up my mind and I'm not changing my decision. We are both exhausted. Our individual peace has been at stake for too long and we need to protect that. We tried. God knows we fought for it, but the battle is over. Let's find peace each on our own. Let me know when you're heading back. I packed the first suitcase. I might do the other tomorrow. It's a bit difficult for me as well. So after being at the lake, I go upstairs trying to talk to him and he's just not even wanting to be within like 5 feet of me. And I'm like, let's talk about this. Like, please, like, tell me what's going on. Like, you wouldn't be spiraling like this if there wasn't something that's going on. Like, I'm your wife. Like, we can get through this. And he said, no, I'm done with you. I'm going to leave tomorrow. I booked a flight. And I will never see you again. And I will only talk to you when it's about getting you your money. And at this point, I'm just like, what? Like, it's now been an hour and he still has not backed down from this idea that he's leaving me. So out of pure desperation, and I have never experienced this level of desperation before, I go into his work bag and I take his passport and I look at my friend Rebecca and I said, he's not leaving. I'm gonna get to the bottom of what's really going on. And she looks at me, she goes, do you, girl? Like, I support you. So we go onto the patio just to get some fresh air, and I look at the doorbell camera and I see that he's left. And he had 2 big check luggages packed and then his carry-on. And I see that he only left with his carry-on and his work bag. And so I sent him a text. I go, take your space tonight and remember that I love you and I'm grateful that you're my husband and I will never stop fighting for you. Good night, my love. And at this point, I'm angry, but I'm being nice because I've done so much research on addiction, and I know whenever an addict is spiraling, the worst thing you can do is fight them back. So I'm just trying to be calm and be peaceful so that he can find a space to be able to come and be honest with me. And he said, wrap your head around the fact that I am not your husband anymore. We are done. Today has shown me that I won't have anything to do with you other than settling my debt. After that, I can breathe again. So obviously I had a horrible night. I cried myself to sleep. The next morning I wake up and my best friend says, hey, I'm gonna go to my other friend's house. She had another best friend that lived in Dallas, so she was visiting the both of us. And I was more than okay with that because I didn't think this was a good environment for a child anyways. And I knew he was gonna come back to the house, and I thought that was for the best. And so I drive her to her friend's house, and my ex had messaged me like, I'm gonna need the house until 1 to grab my things before I go to the airport. And I remember being like, okay, that's fine. I'm gonna drop her off at her friend's house. And he doesn't know that I'm like trying to intercept him so I can have a conversation with him. He also does not know that I have his passport. So I drop Rebecca off at her friend's house and I come back and my ETA is like 12:30. And I know he said he was gonna leave around 1. So I was like, okay, I'll have some time to intercept him. I get home and everything is gone. His bags that were packed are gone. And I don't know if anyone's ever experienced being left by a spouse without knowing, or even a partner in general, but it is the most devastating feeling in the world. And especially someone that you shared your life with, they're there one day and the next day they're gone. It is just gut-wrenching. And I honestly at that point just start screaming. And I sent him a text and I said, I have your passport. He said, what the fuck is wrong with you? I go, please come home, babe. You fight for the people you love, and I love you, and we will get through this. And he said, this stunt literally cost me thousands of dollars. My decision is made. Remember who is fighting who. And I said, we just need to talk through this. I know you're hurt, and I'm sorry for my part in this, but you're my husband, and we will fight through this. We're building a life here with friends and family. He said, I am over it, but don't worry. All your troubles will go away. Now it'll just take a day longer and cost me more money. Ridiculous. I don't care anymore. I really don't. I say, I don't believe that. You wouldn't have married me if you wanted to give up that easily. He said, well, okay, but I'm getting a temporary passport, so I'll be leaving, and you made sure to take my green card too. So even if I wanted to come back, that's not possible. Take care. And you think I'm giving up easy? You're delusional. I said, I can mail it to you. And at that point, I'm freaking out because I did take his green card. So I get in the car and I said, I can bring you your passport and I can bring you your green card. I'll go to the airport. He goes, don't worry, I'm on the phone with the consulate. They'll figure it out. I don't need you. And I said, I'm on the way with the passport right now. I'll be there in 20. He said, I'm not going to see you. Trust me. I said, okay, I'll turn around. But I also can leave the passport at the front desk so you don't have to see me. He goes, don't worry, getting issued an emergency passport. Don't you fucking leave my passport anywhere. This is the most insane situation I've ever heard of. And guys, this is my favorite text in the entire thread. Call on your friends and family. You prioritize them, now they can show up for you. And just to be very clear, I do not give a fuck if you tell everybody everything. So here I am telling everybody everything. So after that message, he says there's no coming back from this. And I text him back and I said, okay, I will accept that now. And I had reached full acceptance because the fact that he had told me that he doesn't care if I tell everybody everything means that he must really be done with this marriage. And so I reached acceptance and I'm in my car. And I remember I sent a text to my sisters and I said, my ex just left me. And I also called my best friend Onyeka and I told her, I said, he just left me. And I stay on the phone with her until I get home. And I get home and I just plant on the couch and I'm just hysterically crying and just completely wrecked, completely heartbroken. Like, the man that I love has just left me and I'm never gonna see him again. And so obviously it took some time for my sisters to read my text and they both came over and I realized like now's the time to come clean and tell everybody what's really been going on in our lives. And so My sisters are sitting down next to me, and my best friend Onyeka is also on the couch. And I look at them and I tell them everything about the gambling, about the lies, about the money. And my little sister looks up at me and she says, well, he actually took $3,000 from me. And we will continue on in part 22. The Danish Deception, part 22. So my little sister looks at me and she says, he took $3K from me. And I am just silent for like 5 seconds. And I want you all to picture a horror movie in your mind and picture the screams in that horror movie. I can guarantee you the screams that were heard from me were 10 times worse. It was the most heartbreaking moment of my entire life. My little sister is like, she's my world, and to know that he took advantage of her was just, it was so heartbreaking. And in that moment, I 100% fell out of love with him, and it was like the spell that was on me had been broken. I went from survival mode to clarity in a matter of seconds. He asked my little sister for money 2 times. The first time was back in May. It was for a birthday present for me, which is crazy because he did not get me a birthday present that year because I asked him not to because I wanted us to save money. He paid her back, and he actually paid her back with interest, but it took him like a month and a half to send it back to her. And then he asked her for money again in the beginning of August, saying that he was planning a surprise for me for our wedding in Nigeria. And again, he's having issues with the transfer between his Danish account and his personal account. And she sent him the money, and that amount was not paid back to her. So I sent him a text and I said, you took $3K from my little sister. I hate you. No wonder why you left. You're a fucking coward. I don't know how in deep you are, but please know I will make it back from this. Fuck you. You were right. There's no coming back from this. You're a pathetic waste of space. And he responds, you're right, but don't worry, you'll get what's yours. You can start the filing process so we can be done with this. I said, glad we're finally on the same page. He said, me too. I'll need my passport back Thursday. Can we find a way to make that work? I said, absolutely, whenever you pay us back. And I said, you're the most disgusting human I've ever met. He said, that's a mature comment, but that deal works. What's the exact amount I owe you? And I said, love how you use the word mature as you flee the state, LMAO. I mean country. I mean continent. He goes, I'm not fleeing, Onyeka. I'm going to make sure you get what's yours. That's all I've been trying to do. You can believe that if you want to or not. Well, I'm just scream crying at this point, just being like, no. And it takes me some time to like gather myself. And then I realize, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's not the only one. So the first person I call is one of my close friends, Chris, and him and his wife, Thea, they're pregnant with their first kid and they're buying their first house. Obviously, money's tight. And I called him and I said, did you give money to my ex? And he goes, yeah, I did. And then I just start scream crying on the phone. And then I tell him everything that's happening. And it was so heartbreaking because like I had to tell people these things, and then I would be so emotional, so wrecked. And then I would gather myself, and then I would realize that there's another person I have to call. So after I called Chris, I called my friend Rob and asked him, did you loan money to my ex? And he said, yes, I did. And again, I'm scream crying. He borrowed money from Rob 2 times. The first time he said that he was buying an Aston Martin DB9, and he was trying to shuffle funds between his Danish account and his American account. It was taking a while. That amount of money was paid back, and then he came back and asked money from Chris and Rob and said that he was trying to surprise me with this super rare Rolex. And he was trying to surprise me with it for the wedding, and the store just got it, and he didn't think they were gonna get it again before the wedding. And so that's how he got money from them the second time around. Then I messaged him, Chris and Rob too, what the fuck? And he said, you don't have to remind me, I am aware. That's why I need to go back and fix it. And then I text him in all caps, who else? And then he doesn't respond. Then I called one of my friends that I've known since high school, asked him, did you give my ex money? He said yes, he had loaned him money as well. And then I made a call to my cousin and I asked him, I said, did you loan my ex money? And he said yes. And we are the godparents to his son. And that one was like so heartbreaking because this man trusted us to be godparents to his child and you did this to him. And he's like a second brother to me, and it broke me completely to know that he could hurt people I loved like this. And I was in total shock at this point. I was so hurt. I was so angry and I did not know what to do. At that point, I'm like, I need to contact his family right now. So I call his little sister and it's like 11 p.m. in Denmark, but I did not care. I called her, she answered, and I tell her everything. And I'm hysterically crying and she's just in shock. And her fiance goes to his mom's house, picks his mom up, brings her to their home, and then they call me again, and now the three of them are there and I tell them everything again, and we're all just crying, like all of us. And I don't even know what to say. And they were like, we knew he had a problem 10 years ago and he went into treatment and he got better, and like we never knew that he was still doing this. And I was so angry because I felt like I deserved to know this when I met them. Like, I feel like they should have told me this right away. And that's when I started feeling a lot of resentment. I know like it's not fair to put the blame on them because I know they're not responsible for his actions, but I absolutely felt so much resentment towards them at that moment. So then I tell them, I'm like, he's lied about so much stuff. He lied about going to the Olympics. He lied about the home he lived in. And then I thought to myself, the royal title. So I asked them, I go, do you guys have a royal title? And the look on their face, they were horrified, absolutely horrified. The lie that he had told my cousin was that he was buying a Ferrari, and again, he was having issues getting money from his Danish account to his American account, and he needed a short loan. A Ferrari. Then I texted him, you took money from my cousin too. I'm so sick to my stomach. I wish I never fucking met you. And he goes, Onyeka, I understand. I don't need these reminders. And then I said in all caps, tell me who else. I said, be honest for once in your fucking life so I can finish making these calls and I can heal. And he said, no one is asking you to do that. That's a choice you have made. So over the course of the evening, a lot of people came over, like my cousin, his wife, my sisters were there, a bunch of my friends, and I was just crying. I just really just needed to be around my people while all of this was coming to light and all of this was unfolding. And so it was really rough, but I went to bed that night. My little sister did spend the night with me. And the next morning I decided I'm gonna go on my Instagram and I'm going to unblock his ex-girlfriend and I'm going to reach out to her. So I unblock her and I send her a message. I go, hi, I've finally seen his true colors. I don't know how to understand the depth of what I'm going through. And she responded almost instantaneously. It was like, Onyeka, my heart goes out to you. I'm so sorry. There were so many times I wanted to reach out to you, but I felt like he was filling your mind with lies and you weren't going to believe anything that I said. And so I told her, I said, you know, don't blame yourself, but like, I'm having a really hard time understanding the depth of what I'm going through. Are you available to have a quick conversation? And she said, absolutely, we can have a conversation. So at that point, I'm obviously experiencing so much darkness. I'm waiting for the ex to call me and I just need to find some light in my life. So I call my cousin's wife and I ask her, can I come over? Can I just spend some time with my godson? And she said, of course. So I go over to her house, I pick him up and I just hold him and I'm just like crying and I'm telling him, he's 1 year old, so he doesn't understand what's going on, but I'm just saying, I'm so sorry because like your godfather is an evil, evil monster. And I'm just now finding this out. And I just felt so bad for him that like one day he's gonna learn that this man was his godfather at one point. So I'm at my cousin's house waiting for the ex to call me and I just need to just start reaching out to every single person that's ever encountered him. And that was really, really difficult because a lot of these people are also my friends. And so I'm devastating them because everyone loved him. Everyone truly loved him. Everyone trusted him. So I find another friend that he owed $10,000 to. One of my coworkers that I used to work with, she told me that her husband gave him $10,000 too. The lies it was a variety of different lies. One person, he said that he was investing in a plot of land. Another person, he said that he was buying a car. The same lie about how his Danish account and his personal account aren't, like, he's having issues transferring money in between. And let me make something very, very clear. Every single person that he took money from, he told them explicitly not to tell me. And it's in text and it's in the receipts. He said, do not tell her, it's a surprise. I'm getting this car as a surprise. I'm getting this watch for her as a surprise. I'm buying this land as a surprise. It was all a surprise to me, which makes me so, so sick. So I'm on my phone. Again, I'm still waiting for the ex to call me. And I look down and I have a text from his older sister. And she said, Onyeka, can you please call me? I want to talk to you. And we will continue on in part 23. Danish deception, part 23. So at this point, I am feeling all the emotions. I'm feeling so much sadness. I'm feeling deep anger. I'm feeling so heartbroken. I'm feeling a little bit of relief because now I know. There's not a question in my mind on who this person is and what he's done. Like, I know exactly who he is. But the feeling that was taking over me completely, as you guys can imagine, is shame. I felt so ashamed. I felt like I didn't recognize the person that I had been for the past 3 years. And when you fall out of love with a psycho narcissist, it's disorienting and empowering at the same time. And it's almost like walking out of a dark room and experiencing sunlight that you never knew ever existed. And that was when I told myself, I've been living in someone else's reality and I want my own back right now. So I pick up the phone, I call his sister, and it's on FaceTime. I'm bawling my eyes out and she's just apologizing. She's like, I'm so sorry. She said, I felt as though he was living above his means, and this is always a sign that when he's gambling and stealing from people. And I wanted to have a conversation with you, but I didn't know if you were going to believe me. And he had told the whole family that he had told you about his gambling addiction and about everything in his past. And I told her, I said that wasn't the case. And she said, well, yeah, his addiction got really, really bad about 10 years ago. He owed money to some really dangerous people. They actually threw a brick through his parents' window. And they chased his friend through the streets with a knife. And she's a police officer, so she wanted to protect him. So she actually went and met with these like dangerous loan sharks and figured out a payment plan for them. And then my ex got a job in China, and then he moved to Shanghai and didn't pay anyone back. And he owed money to his parents. He owed money to tons of people. I did not know any of this. I just knew he owed money to his best friend at the time, and obviously crypto. So I thought these were like small, obviously not small, it's a large amount of money, but I thought these were isolated incidents. I didn't know that this was a pattern. And she was like, once he moved to China, he was there for like 6 months, and then I started receiving messages from people in China. So he was conning people in China as well. So we are now at 3 continents. We have North America, Europe, and Asia. And I'm just completely mind blown. I said, well, how in the world did it get this bad? And she said, well, he got treatment about 10 years ago. And the specialists and the therapists and the counselors at this facility, they told the family that he had the worst gambling addiction that they had seen in their careers. And his family said nothing to me. So that conversation 100% deepened my anger and resentment towards the family. I've worked through a lot of that in therapy, but I still just cannot understand how this shit was not brought to me. But, then she proceeds to tell me this is why I don't have a relationship with him, because, I have kids now and I could see he has no desire to change, literally none. And I told her, he said that your family had all this money. She said, that's absolutely not true. We're very average, middle-class family. And I also asked her, I was like, has he ever owned any property in Denmark ever? And she said he has never owned a single piece of property in Denmark in his life. So I get off the phone with his sister, and then his ex is now available. So I call her and she answers, and I say hi, and she's very, very nice. And she just says, I'm so sorry for what you're going through. I know how devastating it is. And she said, do you want to start or do you want me to start? And I said, I would love to hear about your experience and understand what you went through. And she started it off saying, okay, well, we were together for 7 years. And I was like, 7 years? He told me 4. So the first sentence that she said was already a lie that he told. And she said he stole money from me, he stole money from my parents, he stole money from my friends. And there's actually a colleague of my dad's that he took money from after meeting him one time. He met this man once and was able to get money from him. I was so shook at everything I was hearing. Obviously, it was her dog. That dog was hers. It was never his dog. She also told me that the godson of the plumber was never his godson. So that was also a lie. Obviously, he never invested in that plumbing business. That was all stupid, all lies. And I asked her, I was like, 7 years is a long time. Like, what pushed you to finally leave? She's like, I just realized he wasn't going to change. And, for a while I knew I should have left him, but I felt like I was just in deep sunk cost fallacy. I feel that too. And then I asked her, I was like, when did you guys break up? They broke up on December 23rd of 2022. So do y'all remember that story about his dad being sick in the hospital and him getting in a fight with his sister and the back surgery and all the bullshit? It was all a lie. He was living with her. They broke up. She left him 4 months after we started dating. At this point, guys, I was numb. I couldn't even say this man cheated on me. He cheated on her. I was the other woman. And I was so numb to the cheating. I didn't even it was just okay, let's add something else to the list. I don't even think I cried. I was just like, well, what's next? Let's see. And it truly felt like for that 24 hours, I was living the same nightmare over and over and over and over again. So at that point, I'm like, it is time to fight. And for starters, I need a divorce. So I start looking up divorce attorneys on day one, and I actually had 2 meetings with the divorce attorneys while all of this was unfolding. So I truly felt like I was fighting for my life. And at the same time, I'm still reaching out to different people that have met him to see if they've given him money. And so I leave my cousin's house, I go back to my house, and I'm with my cousin's wife and my sister and one of my friends. And at that point, I'm like, it is time for me to call my parents. And I was so nervous because I'm like, my parents at this time didn't even know that I was married. So now I have to tell them all these things. On top of that, I have to tell them that I'm legally married. And so I get home, I call my dad, and I'm telling him, hey, I need to talk to you. He's like, what's going on? I go, he's not coming back. And I proceed to tell him about the addiction, the money, everything. And then I ask my dad, I go, but please tell me he didn't take money from you. And my dad goes, don't worry about that right now. And then I was just on the floor screaming. This is my family. This is my family. I didn't even know how to pick myself up. And then I heard my dad. I was on FaceTime with my dad, and he just goes, you need to be strong. And I immediately get up, sit on the couch, and he looked at me. He's like, you need to be strong. He said, what he took is a drop in the bucket, and we're gonna get through this as a family. And that was just, you guys, I have the best parents in the world.
So then my mom comes home from work and I talk to her on the phone. My dad had already told her, and I pick up the phone and I'm FaceTiming her too. And I'm like, Mom, I'm so sorry. And she goes, why are you sorry? You have no reason to be sorry. She goes, everyone that knows you knows your heart. And I love you. You're my daughter. And we're going to make it out of this stronger than ever. I have the best family, the best friends, the best support system, and this whole tragedy of a situation reminds me of that every single day. And I just, through all the darkness, they are my light. So I'm on the phone with my mom, just talking to her about everything, and then this name pops in my head. So there is this man, and his wife is from Denmark, and she had found my ex on LinkedIn and was like, it's so rare that I meet other Danes in Dallas. Would love to have you and your wife over for dinner. So we went to dinner with them, and they were so nice, so kind. And this man is extremely successful. They were living in a very nice home, and he just felt like he wanted to take my ex under his wing, and he wanted to find him a great job. And he was also working in tech, similar to my ex. So this man had taken him to like car shows. He met billionaires and made so many connections through this man. He just really wanted to be a mentor for him. And so his name popped in my head, and I was like, Mom, I gotta get off the phone. So I get off the phone and I call him and I go, hey, it's Onyeka. And he goes, hey. And I go, is everything okay? He goes, how can I help you? And I go, did my ex take money from you? And he says, that motherfucker took $30,000 from me. And I was just so shook. Like, another victim, and this man was just trying to help him. That's all he was guilty of, was trying to help him. And so I asked him, I go, how did he get all this money from you? And he said, well, he told me he was investing in this land. He was building a quadruplex, and he had to rerun the water lines, and he was looking for investors. He said they had 10 to 15 business meetings before this man gave my ex a dime. And he said, listen, Onyeka, I'm a man that's found a lot of success in my life. I have $1.5 million worth of cars. I have $500,000 worth of watches. This man had to work hard to pull one over on me. He said, I have loaded guns in every single room in my house. I didn't know if this man was a part of a group. And I asked him, I go, why didn't you bring this up to me? He goes, well, Onyeka, you're Nigerian. Like, that's a scamming capital of the world. I didn't know if you were in on it. And that's when the irony hit me. I'm Nigerian, and I'm a proud Nigerian. I tell people it's my biggest flex. But the country's not perfect. We have our strengths, we have our weaknesses. But one of our weaknesses is that there's a ton of scammers. Versus Denmark, who's considered to be this prestigious, wealthy, happy country. So the fact that a Danish man pulled this over on a Nigerian, or Nigerians collectively, it just blew my mind. And that's when he says, I'm gonna tell you something else that's probably gonna blow your mind. And I said, what is it? And we will continue on in part 24. The Danish deception, part 24. So I'm on the phone with his mentor friend, former friend, and he tells me, well, you wanna know what else is gonna blow your mind? And I said, sure, tell me. He goes, I actually filed a lawsuit against him. And I said, you did what? He said, I filed a lawsuit against him and I served him via courier. And I was like, wait, what? He had filed a lawsuit 3 months prior. And I was just sitting there like, wait, but you got served via courier. Like, I was home, like, I don't know if I was home, and then I remembered a specific day where he walked to the door, received a package, and I asked him, or like an envelope, I asked him, I'm like, what is that? He said it was the incorporation documents for his LLC, which he had just formed the day before. And so I was like, damn, that was fast. He said, oh, I expedited them. No, he was just getting served. On top of that, before the mentor friend would give him any money, he wanted to get some collateral.
So my ex, what does he do? He gives him the Rolex watches as collateral, which turn out to be fake. So him taking that $50,000 watch to the village, yeah, he quite literally did not have anything to lose. The absolute worst part was that this man had just lost his job 4 days prior to getting conned, and his wife is sick. Let that sink in for a little bit. So that conversation with the mentor, I feel like that conversation really just shaped me and shaped my mindset. And it was right then when I realized that I need to fight back. So a lot of you are probably wondering, like, why are you putting this story out there? Aren't you embarrassed? Don't you feel shame? Well, yeah, but is it worth me being silent if he can go out and continue to find more and more victims? Do the other victims deserve that? What if someone had done what I'm doing right now? I wouldn't be in this position. So I feel proud of myself that I can sit here and I can share with everyone the details of what happened to me so that we can prevent this from happening to other people. And at the end of the day, silence is abusers' greatest weapon. It's time to take the power back. At that point, I have now cut off all communication with my ex since the day before when I was just going off on him, calling him a coward and a lunatic. And he then proceeds to start sending me messages, begging for me back, telling me how much he loves me, telling me how we can work on our relationship and get back to what we were. And let me just tell you, I have never had my phone blown up to this extent ever in my entire life. You guys want to take a gander? And it was hilarious because you could tell that so many of his messages came from ChatGPT, and I could tell, like, it was so easy to tell. And obviously you guys don't need to see all the messages, but I will do you guys a solid and I will read you my favorite one. Nothing makes sense without you. We had so many plans ahead of us, some of which we can still get to do. Others we will miss. That's okay. We have an entire life together, right in front of us, if you want it. You are perfect and required not to change a single thing. I have many battles to fight and overcome. I will rise from this stronger than ever if you choose to stand by my side while I go to war for you, for us. I'm aware of the fact that a lot of people hate me for what I've put you through, what I've put them through, family members and friends, but I also know that a lot of them are good people whom over time will forgive my actions if I make the right amends. Many of the same people have witnessed my love, loyalty, and generosity, even when I had very little to give. I am devoted to change for you, for everyone around you. I will put all my pride aside and show you that we can come back from this if you'll let me. You might think I sound crazy, delusional to think I stand a chance. I am crazy in love with you. I'll go through extreme lengths to show you that. And y'all, he ended every single message with this one part. I love you. I will always love you with all of my heart. I'll go to the end of the world for you. An actual psychopath. It's funny because I actually put that message in ChatGPT and ChatGPT was like, this is emotionally manipulative. He's minimizing the emotional and financial damage he's caused by saying that everyone's going to make amends with him. He puts you on a pedestal telling you you're perfect so that you'll feel like you need to fix him. He's saying that he's almost like a hero because he's going to go to war for you. And no, I didn't talk to my people, but I should have been talking to ChatGPT because he would have known. He would have talked some sense into me. So I hired a lawyer less than a week after everything went down. He was referred to me by one of my friends. You know who you are. Thank you again. And my lawyer was a wonderful, he was so good. We were able to file the petition, file for divorce. And he said, listen, it might be easier to make this thing just go quickly if we can just get him to sign. And it worked out so well because I live in Texas, which is a separate property state. So my house, which I purchased before I met him, was my home for the taking, and he could not have any piece of it.
and I had not put his name on the deed. I was about to, but I didn't. Thank you, God. Obviously my car was mine, so really he couldn't take anything from me, which made me very, very happy. So we filed the petition, and I didn't hear from my ex for quite some time. And I'm sitting in a therapy session, and I get a text from him after not hearing from him for about a week. And he's basically saying that, he still loves me and he really wants me back, but he also really needs his passport and his green card back. And he said, just so you know, it's illegal to hold on to someone's passport and green card. And I was like, you want to talk to me about legality? And then he said, talk to me, text me back. He goes, file a lawsuit with me or work with me. And I'm like, you want to talk to me about lawsuits? And so I reached out to my lawyer. I'm like, hey, what's going on with the docs? Like, you think it's gonna be happening soon? And he was working so fast. Him and his associate were working so quick. And he said, actually, I think I'm gonna have him done this week. But it'd be so much quicker if we just get him to sign. And I was like, honestly, I am down. I will meet with him just one time to get it signed. And I was talking to one of my friends about it, my friend Chris, and he said, Onyeka, I will go meet him for you. And I was like, are you sure? He said, yes. I'm like, thank you so much. So my ex starts blowing me up, and I text my friend. I go, please send him a message just to say the divorce documents will be ready for you to sign this week, and then I will be able to provide you with my passport. It wasn't a sign these in order to get your passport. There was no duress. Got to say that for legal reasons. There was no duress. And then he texts me and he goes, this is heartbreaking, because I don't think he actually thought I was going to file, which is insane. And then he proceeds to start blowing me up again. Round two. He's telling me he loves me and that he doesn't think we should give up on our rare love, and that he got a new job in Dallas and he's gonna provide for me, and yada, yada, yada. And I'm still not responding. And then he starts sending me voice memos. And the voice memos are getting kind of creepy, because he's saying, I'm going crazy, I'm going out of my mind, I think I'm gonna show up. And like, obviously I feel safe and I'm not scared of him. Like, I will beat him if he shows up. I'm not scared. And he sends me a voice memo saying, good morning, I love you, and I'll see you very soon. And I said, what do you mean see you very soon? So I sent a message to my neighbor. I go, hey, if my ex shows up, I'm gonna need you to tell him to leave. She said, I got you, I'm ready. I'm like, okay, sounds good. So Saturday comes around, and now we're like in the middle of September, and I'm walking my dog. I had just walked out of the house, and I look up, and there's an SUV pulling up right next to me, and I look up, and there's my ex. And we will continue on in part 25. The Danish deception, part 25. So I look up, I see him, and we make eye contact, and there's one split second where he looks at me, and then he says, hey babe, can we talk? And then I proceeded to scream bloody murder. And when I say scream bloody murder, I mean people are stopping on the road and they think I'm about to get kidnapped. Bloody murder. And, well, I can demonstrate it for you. Get the fuck away from me! Fuck yes! Fuck you! Get the fuck away from me! I'm sorry, guys, I had to do that because I needed you guys to understand what I meant, but like times that volume by like 100. I was screaming bloody murder. And then he speeds off and drives away. And then he texted me, okay, I get it. I love you. That's all. I won't do that again. My heart is bleeding, and I don't understand that you want to give up on love. But if that's your decision, so be it. Goodbye, babe. It was always just love. Even me coming by. And then I sent him a text because, I've been ignoring him for weeks now. So I was like, maybe I need to just send him a message so he knows how I really feel. And this is the last message I have ever sent him. Do not ever show up to my home again. I do not want to see you. I do not want to be with you. I do not love you anymore. Nothing you can say or do will ever change that. You make me sick. Someone capable of the evil you've committed on my life and the lives of so many is not capable of redemption. This divorce is happening whether you want it to or not. And then in all caps, leave me the fuck alone. And all he responded was, I understand now. So that was obviously a very traumatic experience for me. I immediately drove to my friend Priscilla's house, and I was just crying and shaking because I just
could not believe I was in person with him, like that I had seen him in person. It was just, I was shaken, but I also felt good because I always kind of wondered, like, what if he does pull up? Like, how am I gonna feel? And it was just anger, just hot rage. So I'm good with that. Later on that night, it was my really good friend Nicole's birthday party. And something you guys should know is for that month, I was completely depressed. I barely got out of bed. I tried to stay active, but it was really bad. I just laid in my bed and watched Criminal Minds for like a month straight. And this was actually my first time going back out into society for this birthday dinner. And we go to this restaurant, and let me tell you, it was a traumatic day, but I was like, I will cut off my right arm before I miss this birthday dinner, because this friend, Nicole, she has been there for me tremendously, and I love her so much. I would not miss this dinner for the world. And so we go to dinner, have a great dinner. Afterwards, we were grabbing drinks at a cocktail bar, having fun. It's like about to close. It's like 1:30, but it closes at 2. But around 1:30, I was feeling a little bit tired. So I was like, I'm gonna go home. And so I go home, and the next morning I go to church, and I get a text from Nicole, and she said, can you call me after you get done with church? And I said, of course. So I get home, and then I call her, and she's like, hey. And I was like, what's up? And she's like, I just, and I'm like, what, come out with it. And she's like, oh, and I was like, why don't you just come over? She's like, okay, I'll come over. So she comes over, and I'm like, I'm wondering what she needs to tell me that's so like uncomfortable. She can't tell me over the phone. She walks into my house. She sits down and she looks at me and she says, I saw your ex last night. And I was like, I was with you till 1:30. Where did you see him? She was like, my building. And she lives in a building that is residences and a hotel and like restaurants and a cocktail bar. There's a lot of people in this establishment, and she was getting home because she lives in the residences, and she saw my ex with a woman that, let me just say, based on the way she was described to me, I would think she was a street hooker, 100%. And it was also kind of communicated to me that she might be like a 1 out of 10. And my ex was with her, and he was holding her jacket and getting cash out of the ATM at 2:15 in the morning. So, you know, we all have our guesses on what that could have been. So she tells me, and I'm like, okay, so cool. He's hanging out with prostitutes in public. Love that. And at this point, I had not announced our breakup, and you guys know I did a post telling people we weren't together. This was like before that. And so at that point, I felt so disrespected because, you know, people know me in Dallas, and they're gonna see him with a hooker, and it's just so disrespectful to me. And I'm like, after everything you've done, like, you're still going, you're still not finished. And so I send a message to his sister just saying that I'm absolutely disgusted with him. So I tell her everything, and my friend actually got photographs of this man holding her jacket. Like, she got the photos. And she asked me, are you comfortable with me reaching out to him and letting him know? I said, absolutely, I don't care. So she reaches out to him, and then he sends me a text and says, I was not buying sex last night. I was buying weed. He said, I was having a really dark night, and for the first time in a long time, I went out to drink, and I haven't been sleeping, and I met someone that would sell me weed so I could finally sleep again. I don't appreciate you going with that information to my family. And then he said, called out my friend by name, and Nicole needs to watch her mouth because she was looking all drugged up. He didn't know that I was with her 30 minutes before she saw him. She was sober. We had had like 4 glasses of wine that night. So she got drugged within 30 minutes. Oh, and she was also able to take 15 pictures of you holding the prostitute's jacket. Mind you, he's also texting another one of our friends, Rob, one of the other victims that he used to be good friends with, saying, I can't believe Onyeka would ever think I'd be with a prostitute. That girl was actually a doctor. And he also sends a screenshot of the receipt of his withdrawal, and it was $40. And I'm thinking there's 3 different options. Number 1, he saw my friend and he was like, let me take out a small withdrawal so I have something to back up my lie. And he clearly saw her because he called her out by name. Number 2, he was conning the prostitute and he said, hey, I only have $40 right now, but I'll pay you back the rest. Something with his Danish account, bullshit, I don't know. And number 3, the prostitute was $40. Could be any of those 3 options. So obviously I was hurt by the situation, but it just, at this point, I'm not even surprised because this man is crazy. I allowed myself to shed 1 tear and then I was like, I'm done. And the following week, my friend Chris met up with him and he signed the divorce papers and had no problem with anything that I put in there. And that was the greatest day. And my divorce was officially finalized on November 4th of 2025. So I'm happy and I'm excited to move on. And I'll have a little conclusion video at the end of this, but I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for being here and letting me bare my soul to you guys. This has been the most difficult thing I have ever done in my life. And y'all's support means the world to me. And I just wanted to say thank you. And I hope you guys enjoyed the Danish deception. Welcome to the Danish deception, the conclusion. So I just wanted to make a quick video to kind of like put a little bow on top of this present I just gave y'all. I'm obviously not a psychologist, but I have diagnosed him myself with narcissistic borderline personality disorder. If you're a psychologist, I'd love to know your thoughts, so comment below. But 100% I think he has that mental disorder in addition to his gambling addiction, which is just a recipe for disaster. I know a lot of you are wondering how the hell did this man con this many people? And this is what I think. Someone might disagree with me. Number 1, his looks. He's very charming, charismatic man. I've mentioned that multiple times. He's highly, highly, highly intelligent. He knows how to play with people's weaknesses. Like, I think that's why every single person he reached out to, he had different lies. He was a great listener and it was really easy to connect with him. And because of that, he was able to build so much trust with all of these people. And him being from Denmark didn't help. I feel like that piece was very critical in all of his different cons. I don't know how he conned people in Denmark. I'm sure he had some other way to do it, but yes, I have already received a lot of messages from people saying that my ex also conned them. I actually talked to a girl that dated him while he was with me and his ex. So now there's someone that was added into that mix. I also know that there's a group of people at a company he used to work with and he conned tens of thousands of dollars from that company and he actually ended up getting fired. So I'm learning a lot. Another ex-girlfriend reached out to me. I'm learning a lot. So at this time, I'm going to tell all of you, I'm not collecting tips because I'm building a case. My goal is to get this man in prison. He does not deserve to be a part of society. And I'm trying to build up as much evidence as I possibly can. I'm not going to name his name. I don't need to, but if you have any tips or if you've also been a victim of this psychopath, send an email to danishdeceptiontips@gmail.com. Side note, should I share with you guys the tips as I get them? Could that be like a little fun segment? Maybe comment below if that's something you'd be into. And now that concludes the Danish deception. Thank you and have a great night. I wanted to touch on the reasons why I decided to share my story. Obviously, I did touch on this in the introduction disclaimer video. The first reason being love is a powerful drug. Y'all, I watched Tinder Swindler and I watched Who the Fuck Did I Marry series, and I never thought I would fall victim to something like this. And now that it's happened, I'm deciding to work through it in therapy, give myself grace, give myself compassion. If you also fell victim to something like this, which let me tell you guys, I've already received thousands of messages of other victims. You are not alone, and do not let that shame eat you alive. Number 2, I want to protect other people. Y'all, this man was a professional, international criminal con artist, and he will not stop. So I do not want to be complicit in him continuing to hurt other people.
And obviously I know that I'm gonna fall under scrutiny, and that's okay, I really don't care. But I'm just happy that I can do my part to protect other people. And I'm not just talking about other women, I'm talking about other women and men, because he got loaned money by lots of friends in the US and in Denmark. And at the end of the day, like, when you trust someone, you wanna help them when they're in need. And so I wanna protect people from falling victim to this. And it makes me sick. When you love someone and you trust them and they're in need, oftentimes you're gonna wanna do something in order to help them. I'm happy that I'm able to do my part in preventing this psycho from doing this to other people. And lastly, the third reason, which I did not share with you guys earlier, I wanted to bring awareness to gambling addiction. The thing about gambling addiction is it's very easy to conceal. You can see someone on the street, you have no idea that they have a gambling addiction. It is truly invisible until it's catastrophic. And it's the addiction that can affect the most people, especially if you're dealing with a gambler that's highly intelligent, because they will falsify emails, documents, invoices, websites. Like, it's insane the lengths that they will go to in order to get money from you. I know someone that got conned by my ex, and he produced documents with fingerprints on them. You can't make this up. So I want to bring awareness to it because it can cause so much damage. Again, these are the three main reasons why I decided to share my story, and I'm grateful that I could do my part in just helping other victims to prevent this from happening. And again, if you've gone through something similar, just know you're not alone.